Hello everyone, for today's video I really wanted to talk to you about something that is quite prominent in the teaching profession but also can be found in plenty of other sectors, plenty of other career choices. So I thought it was a really good one to kind of, I would say sit down, but right now I'm standing up and talk to you about today. But before I get started, hello, welcome back. If you are new here, then hi, my name is Miss Paris and I'm a newly qualified primary school teacher here in the UK. Now, if you haven't seen my last video, you won't have been up to date. But I announced that I actually have finally, after a year of trying, I have found an NQT position, which is really excited. I'm absolutely buzzing. But I also want to keep it real and want to talk to you guys about how it felt mentally after a year of trying, because it wasn't smooth sailing. You know, I didn't get rejection after rejection and then just think, okay, on to the next one, because that's not really realistic. And so I wanted to really focus this video around imposter syndrome. Now obviously this is kind of more of a mental state. It's very much how we view ourselves, our own abilities and our own capabilities, that kind of thing. So I wanted to talk to you about my experience with imposter syndrome, and you know, it's still very much there. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't just sailed past and left me, it's still very much there. What it is, what it might look like in different individuals, and also some ways to combat this. So hopefully you can come away from this video feeling kind of reassured that you're not the only one, that it's okay to feel this way, but also some ways that you can proactively kind of fight against your own negative thoughts and your own feelings of imposter syndrome. So my journey with imposter syndrome, I've always kind of been a bit in denial of myself. This goes back even before anything job related, even just at school. If I got a good grade, I either would say, oh, it's because it's too easy, or I would have said, oh well, it's only because I studied. If I would have done it without studying, you know, I would have got 0, or you know, I could have just said, oh well, it was a fluke, that kind of thing. I would never fully embrace, let's say, that grade or the mark on my essay and think, oh well, you know what, I actually deserve that, that's where I am, that's where I deserve to be. I would always be like, oh no, that was just pure luck, it was an easy topic. And so it kind of carried on from there. Looking at jobs, well, I got into the PGC with my first interview, and my only interview actually, so that was really quite lucky. But like I said, this NQT job thing has not been easy. I have had so many rejections, so many, I don't even know what you want to call it when you just don't hear back from them. Yeah, a bit ghosted kind of. But then also not receiving feedback, or not receiving feedback that was in my control. And so even though there were reasons that, like I said, were not because of me, so let's say COVID taking away some of the experience in schools, or the people who were also applying for the job were just more experienced, or maybe they did better in the interview questions, I can't help that. But yeah, I would still come away and allow it to kind of chip at my self-esteem, chip at my confidence, to the point that when I finally got a job, I was like, can I actually do this? Have they made a mistake? I don't know. So what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is the inability or the difficulty in internalizing, i.e. processing your successes, because of a constant feeling of inadequacy or denial of your own capabilities and your own achievements. So you kind of think like, oh no, I can't do that, or I did it but it was an accident, or I didn't mean to do it, that kind of thing. It can also leave you with feelings of, oh well, I don't believe I can get this, or I don't deserve this, I don't deserve this promotion, or I won't be able to fulfill the expectations of this promotion. So what does imposter syndrome feel like? What can you expect from it, and when can it arise? So imposter syndrome can arise at any point in your life, in your career, at any age, at any point. It doesn't have to have a significant event to kind of trigger it. It can just sometimes arise, or it can arise after many different events that have accumulated to kind of make you doubt yourself or be in denial of your abilities. So you might, like I said, deny what you are capable of or what you have previously achieved. You might find it difficult to assess yourself or reflect yourself realistically and accurately because you kind of take the more extreme side, or you're very, very overly critical of yourself. You might find yourself self-sabotaging things because you don't expect yourself to get to that place or to be able to fulfill those expectations. You might be a perfectionist or try and overachieve. There's lots of different things that imposter syndrome can look like. Oh, and another thing, you might feel like you have to over-prepare because you're scared of being found out. Found out to be a fake, found out to be lying, found out to be underqualified. But actually, you're not necessarily any of these things. It's just kind of your own doubts, your own lack of self-belief that's kind of restricting you. And I think the reason, without trying to teach you how to suck eggs or anything like that, I think this video is just something that I think, like I said, anyone in any industry could watch this, but also as NQTs or trainee teachers who may not have had a lot of experience due to COVID, or who may have had a difficult journey finding a job such as myself. You know, I think sometimes you need to hear this from somebody and think, okay, well, I'm experiencing all of these things. This is what it must be. It seems pretty normal to experience this. I'm going to do something about it because actually I'm putting myself down. And it takes a lot of confidence to stand in front of 30 teenagers or 30 children and just be confident. And I think if you don't feel confident and you're very shy within yourself, or you might doubt yourself, then they probably will kind of lose some belief in you too. It's a bit like when you say the best way to teach is to have an enthusiastic teacher in front of you. If you have a teacher who would rather be anywhere else than in front of you teaching, you're not really going to pay attention or care either. So it's a bit like the same thing with the confidence. And I had a few people privately message me on Instagram talking about confidence, and so I thought that it was something that should be addressed, and hopefully this video is going to help you. So without further ado, let's talk about things that you could do to kind of help against your imposter syndrome. So the first thing that really springs to mind, and I'm only going to give you 2 tips, because I think if you can already take 1 tip and utilize it and really apply it to your life and your thoughts, then that could already have a huge difference. So I think if you manage 2 of these things, round of applause to you. Like, go for it. Ace that interview, first day, whatever it is you're going for, or just kind of to up your own confidence. Let's do it. So the first thing is, think about somebody that you would consider successful or good at your job. Let's say you work at a school and you are inspired by the year 5 teacher because they've been, you know, working for a decade or even more. They've been an NQT mentor, they are an SLT. You just think they are amazing. They've aced it, you love their teaching style, you think they're a real inspiration. Then think about what they might do in a situation that you're currently in. Okay, so I don't know, let's say that year 5 teacher is called Miss Roberts. Okay, so what would Miss Roberts do if she was in my situation right now? It's her first day, she's never really taught any of the children in the school before. She's going to walk through those gates. What's the first thing she would do? And normally in most situations, that answer that you're going to think of is going to be an action. And so with that action, either you can do that action straight away, either you'll have to think of lots of little steps to get to that big action, or that action will be the first of several actions that kind of just lead on one after the other, almost like a snowball effect. So either way, the answer to that question is going to give you your starting point. If you think, okay, well, Miss Roberts is going to arrive, and I'm sure because she's very open, she's very talkative, she will introduce herself and set expectations because she's quite strict that way. But then also she has a great relationship with the children. So introduce yourself nicely, then set the expectations. Okay, well, let me try that first. What would I then say after the expectations? What would be the first thing that I do? And so, as you can see, even though these steps are something that you're going to apply, you're putting it into somebody else's shoes that you know or you consider to be a success. Because let's face it, if you can identify successful people, successful steps, that means that you can do it too. So the second thing, and for this I kind of have to introduce you to a little detour, is something called cognitive distortions. Now, cognitive distortions are really negative beliefs, negative thoughts that distort your perception of reality. So you see, cognitive distortions, they distort your perceptions of reality, what's real, what you are capable of. And what I want you to do with these cognitive distortions, which are basically the thoughts that are going through your head during imposter syndrome, is to try and counteract this with a rational thought. And I know with cognitive distortions, they're very frequent. You can have them with almost anything you do in life, and they're very common as well. But I've said this in previous videos about mental well-being. You need to acknowledge those thoughts. Just acknowledge they're there. Don't try and avoid them. Don't deliberately just go, you know, okay, I'm going to think of something else, think of something else, because they will reoccur, and that's normal. You need to acknowledge them as thoughts, acknowledge that they are thoughts and not facts. They're subjective. They're just coming into your mind, your self-doubt, you know, your negative thoughts, they're just crowding into your brain. And then counteract that with a rational thought. So for example, you might think, I don't want to share my ideas in the staff room because they won't take me seriously. So that's your cognitive distortion. But your rational thought could be, well, hang on, I have as much of a right as anyone else to be here. I'm as qualified as everybody else. This thought or this opinion could have a great impact. So I have the right to share my opinion and let other people hear it. So you're not counteracting it by saying, oh, this is a brilliant thought, everyone's gonna love it. You are just reassuring yourself that actually you do deserve to express your opinion and you are completely valid in doing so. And you know, you have the right and you have the power to do so. Does that make sense? I hope that's making sense. Because you're kind of saying, okay, my opinion is as valid as anyone else's, so I have the right to share. Right now they're asking for opinions, they're asking for inputs, I'm going to give it. Okay, so 2 action points for you. 1, think of what a successful person or who you consider a successful person to be. What would they do in your situation? And then implement that action. And number 2, wherever you have a negative thought or like this cognitive distortion, counteract it with a rational thought and acknowledge that that cognitive distortion is just your brain trying to be mean to you. You know, it's not fact. Do not think, okay, it is a fact that my opinion is not valid and I shouldn't share it at the staff room or this meeting or this corporate thing. I don't know. But just reassure yourself, okay, fine, that's what you think, that's a thought, it's not a fact. Here is a rational thought that I'm going to counteract it with, and then try and do whatever it is you were set out to do. So in that example, it would be to give your opinion in that meeting. Now, I realise that's a lot of information to take in. If you have anything to add, then please let me know below in the comments. How do you handle your imposter syndrome? How do you go about reassuring yourself that actually you can do this, you are qualified enough, you do have the capabilities to do it? And if you have any other tips for other people, then please let me know as well. Again, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more teacher content in future. See you later. Bye. Imposter syndrome is basically the inability... They're watching football.